I'm Leigh Brown. This is Crazy Shit in Real Estate, and I love so much my guest today. Cheyenne McGriff is with us from South Dakota. She is a delight and super adorable, and I know you're going to enjoy this episode too. So get your notepad and pen, and I'll see you on the other side.
I usually have a mic, but I put on headphones instead, so I was hoping those would work today.
You sound fantastic, and I can't see them with your hair, so there's no big, you're not going to get some people making comments about visible headphones, which I don't know why they do that, but hey.
I know people are funny, or I mean, it's a trend now to have those big, huge ones too. So
I don't understand that. Do they squeeze your head? Because they give me a headache. I can't wear them because they hurt.
Yeah, I can't either. It drives me crazy.
I mean, I don't understand that trend, but I think it's going to pass fairly quickly because how do they hear ambient noise at all?
Well, I agree. And I can't even have a headband. It drives me.
That freezes my brains.
Yes. There we go. There's my background better.
Diane, tell my audience where you're located, how long you've been in and around real estate. Give them a little bit of the thumbnail on you.
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited to be here today. I've been an avid follower and listener of Leigh for a very long time, and even attended some classes here in South Dakota that you've come to teach. So I'm excited to be here and meet virtually today. So my name is Cheyenne McGriff. I am a full-time realtor in Western South Dakota. So if you think Black Hills, Badlands, that's me. Mount Rushmore. So if you've been here, that's where I am. I've been in real estate for 6.5 years now. I work on a team with my grandparents, which is pretty cool. My grandma's been in the business since the mid-70s, and my grandpa joined her probably about 15 years ago now. So we all work together. I have a puppy. I have a kiddo that's 4 years old and a husband, and I live in a town of 800 people. So that's a little about me.
Okay, so I have to ask you, they keep talking about adding President Trump to Mount Rushmore. Do you think that's going to happen? Like, is there room for it?
I don't know if there's any room. I think it might be a bigger feat than somebody'd want to take on. But
I mean, I don't know if we have the artisans for that nowadays. I'm not sure that the kind of sculptors who pulled that out of that rock face could do it now. I really don't.
No, I don't think so either. And it's pretty amazing to think about the lack of technology that we had then. And what they were able to do.
And the scale, like if you think about how tiny you would be trying to create something that you can look at and is beautifully recognizable portraits. It's wild.
It is. It's amazing. And honestly, as a South Dakotan, I probably don't go to Mount Rushmore as often as one would think. Sometimes when things are in your backyard, you don't appreciate them.
One time, right? Don't you have to go on a field trip there at least one time?
Yes. We went on a field trip there when I was in elementary school, and I used to work for an economic development organization. So we would tour like visitors up to Mount Rushmore from time to time.
So do you have to go to Sturgis if you have to go to Mount Rushmore?
Yeah.
Required to go to Sturgis too?
Yes, absolutely. And there are some people in our area that aren't so excited when Sturgis comes around, but I like it. It's fun. There's lots of energy and music and new people.
And exciting. Like you get to show off your state, and these people come from everywhere and they're excited to come.
Yes, they love it. And sometimes they want to buy getaways. So it's good to be engaged.
Well, I mean, isn't that the story of economic development, though? You're supposed to create something that's a draw, that is exciting, that's lovable. And then when it works, people start complaining about it because it worked.
Yeah, accurate. Or they want it, but not in their backyard kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that's a conversation happening in real estate around the country right now. When you look at counties that are struggling with growth, like the county I live in has grown a ton because we're great. But now we have people that say, wait a minute, too many people here, pull the drawbridge up. And so there's this whole closing mentality, which as a realtor, like I love that I get to tell people it's a great place to live. So now I got to say it's a great place to live, but not for you.
We definitely experienced, I mean, if you remember it during COVID time, we were wild here in our part of South Dakota.
Because we were we had a governor that shut us down. And so I was not essential for 6 weeks, which means I was working remotely, but I kept looking at land in the free states. I was looking at South Dakota because you have beautiful acreage up there. But then
We
my
do.
husband,
Well, maybe I can help change his mind. It's a pretty great place.
uh-huh.
But yeah, we were quiet for about 2 weeks, when everybody was shut down. And then it was like floodgates were open. Everybody was moving here and trying to get here. And we're seeing the impact of that now with the increase in prices and lack of inventory. But I feel like we're starting to level back out.
So you were at the beginning of your real estate career when COVID hit. Now that we realize that
Yeah.
was 5 years ago next month, and we're
Hmm.
recording this in February, so 5 years ago in March, you were a year and a half in,
Yeah.
and the market went from normalized and then it was moving up, but then it got completely set on fire, and it was a market that none of us have seen. My 25 years had not seen it. So of course your year and a half hadn't seen it. How did you pivot into that as a newly seasoned realtor?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. So like you said, when I started, it was more of a I don't know if we ever have a normal market, but more
That's
balanced.
fair. It was a
Um,
different market.
yes. I often tell the story that my very first clients, they had a price range of 250,000 and I was able to show them homes all over in so many neighborhoods, so many options. We had like 3 days full of showings and then that is no longer. So when COVID hit, it was just like I said, the floodgates opened. We had to really adapt and move quickly. And plus we still had some of those regulations like mask and gloves and all those things that we dealt with during that time.
My
Um,
favorite, that we had to wear booties because COVID apparently transmitted through the soles of your shoes. That one I still
it
can't figure
didn't
out the
help.
rationale on that one.
I felt very blessed though to be on the team that I was on because if I would have been all by myself, it would have been horrifying. But thankfully, I have just amazing mentors and my grandparents, and plus the office I'm in. There's a lot of experience in our Remax office, so it was it was a really good spot to be during that time because we were able to learn from each other on what was happening. Because we had to learn quickly, like how to write good escalation clauses and how to still protect your buyer in these situations. And it was, man, people ask me often if I'd like it to go back to that time because it was so busy. And I say, absolutely not. But one
No,
really good
no.
thing, I got to very early in my career become kind of a ninja at writing offers because you had to get really good at writing offers and learn new tactics and ways to stand out in a super competitive environment. So I do feel grateful that I came into the market at that time. I'm grateful I had a little experience before and I didn't just pop in because real estate looked easy during that time because it really wasn't. And now, I mean, I had to flex those muscles the other day with a couple of multiple offer situations, but for the most part, we're a little bit back to balance.
I love that positive perspective on how you became adept at writing offers, and I've told agents that before. It's not about the volume that you do as an agent, but it is about muscle memory. And so when you
Mhm.
know the paperwork well enough and you know the market and you know how sellers are behaving and then you know your competition, because in a town of 800, you know your real estate competition and the ones you don't know super well. Your grandma's got stories about them going back years. So you know all the pieces, which allows you to write better offers. And if you're a newer realtor watching this or listening to this, make up some clients, imagine things, and sit here and generate fake paperwork to get the muscle memory, because that is a beautiful way to talk about something that had to be learned, and not just by you as a newly minted realtor. Those of us that had been in a long time, had not been in multiple offers for years, had to relearn that skill, had to relearn things that we had not messed with, the escalation clauses, and then the love letters came up, and then we got the love
Mhm.
letters knocked out for all their fair housing violations, and so all of these things were doing this all the time, and I'm with you. I didn't like it. I like a normalized market where multiple offers is 3 offers. That's the kind of multiple offers I
Right.
like, not 48.
Well, exactly. And I feel that the one reason I really don't miss that time is one, I mean, the buyers are just so disappointed all of the time because they would love the house and they would miss out and we'd be 50,000 over asking with a big appraisal gap. And still, Nothing was working. And it was really super rewarding when they finally got into a house. That was wonderful. But they were making, I just don't love the decisions that my buyers they felt forced to make as far as paying over or waiving contingencies, which I never recommended waiving inspection contingencies. But in any event, I feel like buyers are able to spend a little more time and make some more educated decisions, I guess I would say, than rushing into a house just because it was the one that fit in their budget.
Oh, I love that you bring that up. I do think a lot of agents fell into the trap of, but everybody else is waiving contingencies. Everybody else is waiving inspections, and they forgot to talk the buyer through it and say, look, here's the risks. You have to sign this right here that says,
Yeah.
I told you about the risk,
Yep.
because our buyers were very swept up in the frenzy at that time, which I think they're all pretty still happy about because they got interest rates that don't exist right now. And even if rates do come back down, it's not going to go back down to threes. It may come down to six. We're at, let's see, the day we're recording this, we're at 6.85. So I think
Mhm.
maybe it goes back to six. But it was crazy. And I love that you also mentioned there is no normal market. So when you're looking at your own trajectory and you're looking at being in business with grandparents and what a blessing that is
Yeah.
the goal that they want you to take this over and they will be able to spend less time working and more time traveling, or what's the family outlook?
Yeah. So, like you said, I'm very blessed. I say often that and this is not like a brag on myself, it's a gratefulness statement, is I feel like I was at least 5 to 10 years ahead having that start because I got to learn from pros that have been doing it a very long time. I give one example before I get into the family aspect of it. One example is my second set of buyers I ever had. They wanted to go look at a subdivision and it was super affordable homes. They were so excited. And I was printing off my docs. And my grandma says, well, where are you going to go show a house today? And I told her such and such subdivision. And she said, no, you're not. And I said, okay, why? She said, that subdivision was built on top of a mine. You will not sell a house in that subdivision. Literally 2 years later, the subdivision started sinking into a sinkhole. I'm not kidding. So I was like, wow, that was very valuable. It's
I mean, I was thinking
wild.
radon and arsenic and the mercury situations that happen around mines, but it literally was sinking back down
Yeah.
into the depression.
Yep. Yep. Quite literally. So big lawsuit, big drama, horrible situation for the people that bought houses there. But yeah, so that was amazing. That was her first like, nope, you're not going to do that. So it's awesome to have that. I mean, she's been in, and I live in a town of 800 people, but the city I work in most often is much bigger. So I do have
What's much
a little
bigger?
bit.
You're in South Dakota. Tell me what bigger is to you.
It's Rapid City, if you're familiar with that. So we have two cities in South Dakota that are bigger. Sioux Falls is the biggest, and then Rapid City, which basically encompasses all of the Black Hills. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'd have to Google the Rapid City population. I want to say 80,000, but let me check. 3, 2, 1. Yep, about 80,000. But
Fuck, you knew
so
the
that's
answer
big.
before you looked it up. So now you can say, "Hey, self, I knew something."
Yes.
But
So
it
as
is
far as
for the
family, oh,
mentor, though. So as you before you jump into your family thing, we got to drive that home.
yeah.
She knew things that you would never have known because your brain wasn't baked in real estate for all the years prior that hers was. And y'all, that's the power of a mentor. It's not that they're telling you what to do, it's that they're a resource for you. And so she wasn't telling you how to manage the buyer. She was telling you something that was absolutely critical for them to know because she'd been there and you had not. So if you don't have a mentor, you're going to have to go find one, and you might not have a grandma. And now you're thinking, well, Leigh, you had your dad, and Cheyenne, you have grandma, and you got your pawpaw too. Go to your local association of realtors. That's where you'll find a lot of seasoned agents that they volunteer and they give back because there's a civic responsibility around real estate. But you'll find somebody that's been in the business 30, 35, 40 years, and they would love to take you to lunch and tell you some things that you would not know otherwise. So you get out of your comfort zone, go find your own relationships. Now I'll let you jump into the family side, but I had to jump on that because it's just the perfect encapsulation of the power of a mentor.
I would like to add to that too. I wish that there was a rule that you had to mentor under someone for a certain number of years, like a minimum of 2 years, because I often tell people, like, if they ask me if they should get into real estate or how they should do it, and I tell them, you have to have a mentor. There are so many things that you don't know when you're fresh, and you go to your classes and they teach you the basic laws. Like, they teach you how to get your license, basically. And there is so much to know about actually doing the job and how to not get yourself sued or in trouble that you won't learn in class. You have to learn from someone who's been through it and who has lived it. And it's really easy to think you know everything when you get started because, you watch HGTV and you're like, oh, it's super simple. I'm just going to get started right away. All I got to do is show these buyers 3 houses and they're going to pick one. It's fine. And they're not going to have any problems or negotiations or trouble or disagreements with the seller. But anyway, I wish there was a rule.
And they never have an inspection on house owners. We got to point that out.
Yeah, never. Yeah, that's a whole thing. But I do wish that there was a requirement for mentorship. As they have it in almost every other profession, and this is a very important job. It's very important what we do and how we help people get into homes that, oh my gosh, that's their biggest financial decision that they are likely ever going to make, and you need to make sure that you are not only confident, but just make sure that you know what you're doing, that you know what the rules are, that you know how to protect your clients, because man, it's important. And without my grandma and the mentors that I have, I just feel like I could have been sued so many times and not even knew it.
Right. That's absolutely true. And I hope every real estate commissioner watching and listening to this will take that to heart. And Cheyenne will be your case witness on getting this through our commission level, because I think all 50 states should be discussing this. You make the point so perfectly. So if you're in real estate and you're listening to this podcast or watching it and thinking, man, I need some more Leigh Brown answers in my life. Well, guess what, friends? I have a new program that is launching right now called Answers.Real Estate, where I will give you every bit of insight I have to help you grow your real estate business, help you better respond to consumers, to provide a more excellent real estate experience, so that the next time you land on crazy shit in real estate, you'll have a better solution to whatever you ran into. Answers.Real Estate. There are monthly plans available. You will love it. Get your coaching. Sign up with me today. So tell us about the family trajectory. I know a lot of my viewers and listeners are in and around the family aspect of real estate because it's a very common thing in our business. If you grow up around this business, you're exposed to entrepreneurism at its most visible place, which I think is real estate. And it's hard to work a jobby job when you've seen somebody make good money or no money or good money or no money or good money or no money and then just fall in love with the cycle. So are you going to inherit the business? Is your grandmother looking at you as her exit strategy, or have you discussed that?
Yeah. So when she invited me to join her team, and she had worked on me for a couple of years. When I was in college, she was like, well, maybe you should take some classes. And I always kind of knew in the back of my head it was an option because she had offered it to me. I remember in I think 5th grade, I did a presentation on I wanted to be a real estate agent when I grew up. And I wish I could find it. I know, I wish I could find it. I remember standing up with my PowerPoint or whatever we had then, slides, and talking about it with the little Remax balloon on my PowerPoint. So
Cheyenne's mom, I know you're out there. Find that presentation. I beg of you, please. It belongs on YouTube. Anyway, carry on.
It would be so cute. But so I always kind of knew it was an option. And I went to college for communications and public relations because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I thought that I didn't really want to take many science and math classes. So I just did that. And it's been a great background for me. So I graduated from college and I worked in the economic development world for about 3.5 years. And that was really cool in a lot of ways. But it was like, gosh, I just felt like I was working super, super hard, and I had to answer to 2 different boards, and there was never really like a trajectory for growth in the position I was in. And so my grandma again said, hey, we're maybe going to retire someday. We'd love for you to start taking your classes. And so she helped me take my classes. She supported me throughout that whole process, and I took the classes at night while I was still working full time, and then just kind of jumped in, got my license, and jumped in with 2 feet. Never part timed it. Went full in, but I was young. I mean, gosh, this was 6.5 years ago, so I was in my early 20s,
Yeah.
freshly married, no kids yet, so I didn't have a lot of risk as far as jumping in with 2 feet financially, which I was very blessed. I wasn't, you know, I didn't have a family to support at that time, but thankfully, things went well.
Well, you said you were blessed. I would say you are blessed. Put
Yeah,
the tense on that, sister. Fix that tense.
absolutely.
Woo. So I'll point out to you if you're thinking, but I wish I had a grandma. You can. So when I tell you to go to that local association and find that 40-year realtor, they may not have a grandchild in the business and you might just get adopted. There are a lot of agents that are at the time in life when they would like to let go of most of their real estate business except for a few past
Mhm.
clients. And they would love if there was somebody that could come in with them, learn from them, show an excellence in customer service, and basically inherit their business from them. Those relationships are out there if you just go find it. And I mean, I'm with you. I don't think I would have survived in real estate without my dad. Now, maybe I would have, but I don't think my career would look the same because he poured into me and I was willing to accept it, just like your grandma poured into you and you were willing to accept it. It's definitely a two-way street. So I've got to ask you about the craziest thing you've seen in real estate in your 6.5 years on way to year 7. You've seen obviously, well, 3 different market conditions because you saw the
Mhm.
pre-COVID market, the COVID craziness, and then the stabilization after COVID. You've watched your state go from where is South Dakota to a hot spot to some normalization there. You're working a tiny town near a moderately sized city. You've got all these different angles in just 6.5 years. So if somebody were to ask you, "Hey, Cheyenne, tell me what real estate has done or what have you seen?" What's the story you give them?
What real estate has done here is one thing I wish I had a better like thumb I could put on it is people ask all the time, how's the market? And what I tell them is our market tends to be a little unpredictable. Thankfully for us, we've remained stable. Like we had the crazy COVID up and then we just kind of stabilized down, but our prices are staying level. I would say the craziest things that I saw during that wild time were people that waived inspections and then later found out there were serious issues, or sellers just putting their house on the market and not doing any repairs and like leaving a horrible mess during a final walkthrough. Like, I had a final walkthrough where there were there was garbage everywhere. The cupboards were full of just disgusting, I mean, just horrible. There were empty beer cans all over the backyard, dog poop all over the place. Like, it was disgusting. I even s Can I say this? I don't know. We have to maybe edit it. I was walking around the backyard, and I didn't put my shoes back on yet, and I stepped in a wet dog poop, and it was horrible. It was horrible.
Oh, it
So
gets and gross.
mhm. And so, I mean,
What's
just
the real estate?
and then I'm sitting there at the final walkthrough, and I call a listing agent. I'm like, "What are we gonna do about this?" And like, well, sellers moved out. Buyers needed a house. They were basically gonna be homeless, so paid a cleaner to come in and take care of that. But just those were some of the crazy things that happened. Just like a small snippet of things that went on. A lot of sight unseen purchases, which always makes me anxious.
Yeah, mhm.
Always, always. I had probably 10 during that time, and people from California, Colorado, those are the big ones, mostly that did those sight unseen purchases, and thankfully, I had no unhappy clients when they moved to South Dakota, but I was a little like I had that in my back the back of my brain, like, hopefully they're gonna like it, even though I had them sign a virtual showing disclosure and that they realize they're seeing it on a camera. Um, One of the craziest things I would say that happened, like, during that time was in my personal life too. So my husband got hurt in 2019 and I got pregnant not long after. And so during all of this, I was freshly pregnant and working, and my, very brave, very strong husband was going through a pretty serious injury, which he has now come out of. But it was just kinda balancing, like working, figuring out how to work in real estate at that time, figuring out how to become a mom, and becoming a mom in real estate is very interesting because especially when you're young and new, you just will, make your time work no matter what for your clients. And I didn't really have many boundaries. Definitely the new buyers regulations has helped with the pop-up type of situations, but just kind of figuring out how to navigate basically becoming a mom, becoming an adult, becoming a better realtor, kind of all at the same time.
Well, I mean, it forces you to grow up in so many different ways, but it is the blessing of real estate that it is a giant financial commitment, but it is such an emotional financial commitment. I know I'm speaking on behalf of everybody who's ever been pregnant in real estate. Your buyers and your sellers will give you so much grace. And it was one of the best experiences of my life was how people were actively looking out for me when I was showing houses when I was super duper pregnant, and they were thoughtful about it. There were only a couple of occasional jerks, but that's just life. So I think it's a testament to real estate and that there is good in people. Meanwhile, COVID showed us how selfish some people can be with that seller you mentioned because they did have that attitude of, well, if you don't like it, what you gonna do? And I couldn't stand that level of selfishness, but I think hopefully that's gonna moderate itself back out. I can be hopeful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I totally agree with you as far as people giving you grace. I was really nervous because I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to work the same hours, and are people going to be okay with me, being pregnant? And right after I had my baby, there were a couple of times where somebody wanted to see a house. I was like, I have to bring my kid. Is that okay? Which was fine when she was in her little carrier. They were like, bring the baby, we'll hold the baby. That was great. Now that she's 4 and sassy, it's a
I
little
mean,
harder.
I don't know. When my kids were that age, they were pointing out things like stairs and kitchens. And one of my past clients, she looks whenever my son's birthday comes up and I make my obligatory Facebook post, she says, I remember when Timmy helped me pick out my house because he was about 4 at the time. And I melt and she melts and he rolls his eyes because he's 18. So it's the coolest thing about this business, as long as we communicate, right? When you tell your
Mhm.
clients, I may have to bring the baby instead of don't tell them and you just show up with the kid, then they feel
Right.
out. So it's again goes back to your level of professionalism and the communication while you try to make things work. And that's why you're successful at 6.5 years in, and hopefully we'll have another 30 years to go in this business and taking that grandma's legacy and making it beautiful.
I hope so too. One story, just to piggyback off what you said, my grandma tells about me when I was little, is she said she had kind of this tough client. Like he never seemed like he liked anything. Nothing was ever, up to his standard. And I went to a showing with her. She was watching me that day and she opened the door and I was like, wow, look at this kitchen. And wow, look at this yard. And she said that was the first time she saw him be happy. And then he bought the house. And she's like, I think you were meant to do this job.
Okay, that's so cute because obviously that was that he had the Grinch heart and his heart grew 3 times that
I
day.
think so.
Oh, so Cheyenne, if somebody wants to reach out to you to find out about real estate in South Dakota, or they want to talk about economic development, or they want to talk about family business, or they want to find out about your opinions on apprenticeship, they just want to reach out to you for any of those reasons, what is the best platform or way for them to find you?
Yeah, so I would love to connect. My Instagram is probably the quickest way to get a hold of me. It's at Cheyenne Summer 605. And it's 605 because we have one zip code or one area code for our little area here. And I also host a podcast. I have a really big heart for supporting moms in real estate as they get into real estate or try to transition their business as they become moms. So I have a podcast called The Real Estate Mama Collective, and you can find that on Apple Podcasts. I'm working on Spotify now. Um, and anytime, just reach out. Like I said, Instagram's the number one. We have a Facebook page, our Soderquist team Facebook page, and we'd just love to connect with anyone. And I super, super appreciate the time to chat with you, Leigh. I've learned so much from you over the years. So bless you for everything that you put out.
Well, thank you for being on the show. And of course, for all my little listeners out there that are riding down the road on the way to a showing and you're thinking, I love her. I know all of her contact information is in the show notes for this episode. So when you go in to make a nice comment, you say something below here to elevate Cheyenne, go reach out to her and continue to build real estate networks with good people. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so glad that you spent some time with us today and excited to check out your new podcast too.
Thank you, Leigh.
All right, guys, hit the bell to subscribe and make sure you come back. We'll see you next time. By the way, friends, don't miss my brand new coaching program at answers.realestate, where you can have access to Leigh Brown, submit your questions, have them answered, meet like-minded professionals, have an entire library to help you build your business no matter what happens in the market. Get signed up today. I promise you'll be glad you did. So if you found value in this episode, please like and subscribe to this channel, turn on the bell, and catch another amazing episode by clicking above. Crazy Shit in Real Estate is also available in all of your normal podcast apps. So if that's where you like to hang out, go find me, click subscribe, and most importantly, leave me a review that says you think I'm awesome, my guests are awesome, or this content is just exactly what you were looking for. And then, by the way, if there's something you need, you want to learn about something, you can comment below anytime. You can also send me a direct message if you need to remain anonymous. No judgment. But anyway, I'll only judge if you forget to subscribe and click. I'll see you next time.